Hello, pod lovers. Welcome to another See You Next Tuesday Liverpool podcast. Today, we'll be discussing the FA Cup heroes and should they get the chance to play Chelsea in the next round. We'll pick the bones out of the 4-0 hammering of Southampton, and we'll be previewing the Norwich game and looking forward to the respite that is the Champions League by the way of Atletico Madrid. All right, Buttercup, how are you?
I'm all right, mate, but I've got some bad news for you. I'm afraid I'm gonna ruin your weekend this weekend.
You ruin my weekend most weekends.
Well, yes, but this time, you're gonna have to cancel your plans. Unfortunately, it's because the World Health Organization have put out a new instructions on how to reduce your risk of coronavirus infections. Obviously, there's the clean hands with soap and water, alcohol-based hand rub, cover nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing, and avoid close contact of anyone with flu and cold-like symptoms. But they've also said you got to avoid unprotected sex with live, wild or farm animals. So your plans are gone, mate. I don't know what you're going to do now.
Saturday night. That's just a normal Saturday night for me.
Well, you do live in the deep south of the US, so what else do you do?
I'm going to have to get back to necrophilia. Is that still off limits?
They haven't mentioned it. The World Health Organization haven't put that on there. It's just the live, wild or farm animals. Didn't say anything about dead ones. That's what I found strange.
Oh, well, you've only messed with my Saturday night. My Friday night's good then for a bit of necrophilia.
Well, glad to hear I haven't completely ruined your weekend. Actually, no, I'm not.
All right, mate. Let's start with the heroes beating Shrewsbury 1-0 at Anfield in the FA Cup. What an absolute joyous night and a massive, massive result. Clearly, the kids deserve all the plaudits. You're going to have to review the game because you're one of the only people on the planet that actually got to watch
it. I'm sure there must have been streams showing it.
Apparently, there was obviously there was no sources. Proper sources watching the official sources, but there was a lot of streams that were down as well that couldn't get it because
really?
they run off the. Yeah, they run off of the official sources, so there wasn't much. There was pretty much a blackout, to be fair. So go on then, crack on.
Well, I enjoyed it anyway.
You and everybody in there.
The MENA region.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a really good game. The kids were brilliant. Shrewsbury were passive. It must be said. The only thing they tried to do is kick the kids out of the game, but they were so bloody far behind. It was normally the game had passed them by the time they'd thrown the kick in there. Honestly,
so
they were
just
the kids. I mean, it was a proper one-sided game as well. It was a dominant performance. Shrewsbury created a couple of chances in the second half when they actually went forward, but in the first half they just sat back. I mean, I couldn't believe it. When you a full-time team of professionals, adult players coming up against a team of kids, you expect them to go hell for leather, go at them and really bully them out of the game, don't you? But they just couldn't get near them.
I was keeping up to date on the BBC. I don't know if you know the BBC Sports website. Yeah. They have a live thing.
Oh, the feed thing.
The feed thing. They update every 2, 3, 4 minutes, whatever it was.
Oh, that's horrible. That is.
But I've been doing that for years. Like even before streaming and everything like that.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was in the UK because you could only see half the games, like.
Exactly, and then. You could tell they didn't have any ways of watching the game either because they were updating every 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Oh.
And it was they weren't watching. You'd have thought the BBC would have had some way of watching the Liverpool Shrewsbury game. It was hilarious.
They were probably just didn't know what to say. What do you say? There's a lot of Shrewsbury players getting left behind. Getting left. I mean, it was one of those games where you just thought this is quite embarrassing, actually.
Actually, no worries about the result at any point.
No, not really. I mean, To be honest, the only worry was the lack of an actual striker up front to score. There was no real quality up front, as in like a finisher. Yeah, there was no Robbie Fowler when he was in the kids team. There was nothing like that. Miller worked hard, but he didn't really offer much in the way of goal threat. But we were completely dominant of the ball, so they never really created proper chances, Shrewsbury, throughout the game, really.
Who stood out for you, Liverpool-wise?
Well, I've got to say, and not in a good way, Keanu Hoover, because he was the only avenue they had to getting back into it. He was trying far too hard to impress. And I just kept thinking, I wish someone would take him aside and say, you've impressed enough to get in the team, lad. You don't need to impress now, just play your game. He was trying far too hard, taking too many touches, trying to do too much, you know what I mean? He tried a few, passes that went to, got easily cut out because he was trying to play a 60-yard crossfield pass that wasn't on. Things like that, and I just thought when he was just playing, he was just defending and that, he was excellent, but he was clearly putting it too much into it, trying too hard and determined he was going to impress.
So he did the basics very well, but he was trying to be too Hollywood.
Yeah, he was an extra touch when he could have just cleared the ball, and you could see him looking for a pass rather than clearing the ball. Sometimes you just gotta say, just get it out, lad. Just get it out. Don't worry about worry about setting up a play later. Just let everybody get back into position. You know what I mean? Things like that. When there's somebody chasing you, you don't take your time and dally on it.
Yeah, the positive thing is that he can improve on that easily. It's not something he can't.
He'll be fine. He was just, like I was saying, his problem was he was clearly trying to impress rather than just playing the game.
And he's got 2-3 years to develop as well. Exactly. I mean, he's got a long way ahead of him. He's going to have a stellar career, no doubt. He's got the attributes and he's got the skill set, I think.
You can see there's something there, but he just needs to remember he's impressed, or he wouldn't be in there in the first place. So he doesn't need to try to impress now. He just needs to play the game. That's it. Who else?
What position was he playing?
Centre-back. He was the right-sided centre-half, and Van der Berg was the left-sided centre-half.
I was going to say, apparently Van den Berg had a great game.
Yeah, they defended really well. That's what I was saying. You never really felt in danger until Hoover got on the ball and a couple of times gave it away. That was the only real chances they created, Shrewsbury. So,
Williams, Jones?
Williams always impresses. He was probably man of the match, to be honest. I think it was... I think I'd go with him as man of the match. He was driving forward, had a few shots, I know there were good chances as well. He was. Do you know what? It's horrible comparing him, and I feel really bad for the lad. But he's standing in comparison with Trent. Not, he's not at that level. Don't get me wrong. But what I mean is, it was a very Trent-like performance. If you see what I mean.
I mean, that's music to my ears because the guy is basically solidifying the understudy for Trent's position in the first team.
He's certainly done himself a favor, a whole host of favours. If it wasn't Trent in front of him, I think you'd probably be suggesting he'd get a game or two, as in like a rotation game rather than just to rest if Trent needs a rest. If you see what I mean.
Wow.
So you can't drop Trent, can you? If you need the points, you put Trent in.
My only worry is if he continues this trajectory, Williams, is we won't be able to keep him happy in the long term, in the mid to long term, maybe in the short term. But if he continues the way he is and he develops in a year or so, nobody's going to drop 10 at 22 years of age. He's 21 now. So in a year when he's 22, you're still not going to drop him. He's going to be that world-class performer. But we've got this kid coming up who's a mini Trent Alexander-Arnold. How long are you going to keep him happy? I mean, it's a lovely problem to have, but a problem nonetheless.
Yeah, could well be one. But it's a good problem, so I'm not gonna complain about it.
Right. How did Jones play?
He was all right. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't as good as he was against Everton, for instance. But it wasn't bad at all. It wasn't like a bad game or anything. To be honest, nobody really had a bad game. There was no, I'm trying to think of I was trying to think of anyone I could pick holes in. You couldn't really. They all worked hard. They all played well. They all, despite the attempts by Shrewsbury to bully them, they were definitely the better side. It wasn't even in doubt who was the better side.
So it seems as if Shrewsbury didn't turn up. I mean, they weren't. It wasn't the performance, the second half performance they had in the first game.
Do you know what it was? The problem was they tried to do. They were trying to catch the kids, and they obviously just couldn't get near them. So they ended up just sitting back and hoping the kids would be tired in the second half. Was obviously the ploy when they realised they weren't quick enough. You know what I mean? Because of the late challenges, there was a lot of late pushes, and they were definitely trying to intimidate the kids. Definite. There was quite a few nasty little niggly attempts to kick them off the ball and stuff like that, and they were pulling them and pushing them and throwing them around. Every time the referee was looking the other way. But apart from that, they didn't really offer anything, Shrewsbury. I think they got so busy hoping that one of the kids would lose their temper and retaliate because they couldn't keep up with them. And then they thought, then the second half comes out, they've realised this isn't going to happen, it isn't going to work, we're not going to intimidate them, we're not going to make them retaliate, and we're getting completely outplayed here. So they moved 5 yards forward and started to actually attack, but and that just left gaps at the back, and they were conceding more chances then, so it didn't really help them, to be honest.
Let me ask you a question. The Irish kiddie, the goalkeeper, is he ready to, if Adrian leaves, is he ready to be an understudy, or is he too raw at the moment?
I'm
not even going to attempt his name. The
problem is he didn't really have much to do, so it's...
Right.
How do you judge him on that performance? This is the problem with it. With the performance was so poor for us, and I do think it was because the kids were so good rather than Shrewsbury were poor. To be fair, I think they weren't able to keep up with them. You know what I mean? And they were outplayed.
No, of course.
And it came down to that. They tried pushing up, and they just got caught on the break constantly. Then, so you can't judge him.
Okay, fair enough. Another question. What's the enigma that is Chiravella? He's 22 now, and I just don't understand what's going on. I mean, is he going to get a chance?
Well, he plays in a role where it tends to be a later development. You know what I mean? Xabi Alonso didn't reach his peak till in his 30s, because you've got to learn. It's disciplined, defensive, as well as playing the passes. There's more to it than just playing the passes. I like the look. I've always liked Pedro Chiravella, to be honest. I've always liked him, so I'm quite glad that he's starting to actually show something. I still think he's got something to offer us in a backup role. To save using Henderson. I think we could have turned to him this season and used him, and I think he'd have done okay. He's never going to be a world-class player, but he's got a very good range of passing. He defends well. He's very responsible. Works hard. You know what I mean? There's a lot to like about the lad.
I understand, but he's going to come to a situation soon. He's going to come to a juncture where he's going to want regular first-team football, and obviously we're not going to give that to him. So he's going to have a decision to make. He's going to have a scruple whether to stay or go. I mean, I don't see him staying, to be honest with you.
No, but then I wouldn't have said he was going to stay in the summer either. It looked like he was gone. So,
yeah, but why would he stay to play FA Cup games or league games? That's just
I know. I think for his sake, he needs either a full season loan with the club that actually plays him constantly, or to leave. I think for his career, for the sake of his career, he probably needs to leave. Yeah. But that's a shame, because I think he actually isn't a bad option for us in the Fabinho role.
Yeah, I think he's in that grey area where he's too good for probably the youth teams, and he's just not good enough for the first team yet. So he's in that kind of middle ground.
I think he could do a job, but the problem is that our first team's so good that it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, Fabinho's been so good. Henderson's been so good. Wijnaldum, Milner. I mean, this isn't an easy team to break into. If you put him in one of the other teams, I think he could walk into most Premier League teams.
What, as a starter?
Well, yeah, most of them he could probably play. Could you imagine West Ham? They've only got Noble and Rice as basically their whole midfield until they bought that. The lad in the January window whose name's completely gone out of my head as I was about to say it.
The Eastern European guy.
Yeah, Czech lad. I forget what his name is now. Anyway, him, until they bought him, that was it. Their entire central midfield was Rice and Noble, basically.
Right, yeah.
So he'd walk into that, he'd replace... I mean, Noble's all right, but his legs are going. That's the problem with him, and he gets tired. You know what I mean? He needs someone... He needs to be played more sparingly, but West Ham haven't got the options to be able to rest Noble all the time. So he ends up playing, and then he doesn't perform, and then the fans get on his back.
Yeah, I think Chiravella's put himself in the shot window for sure. I think we'll get a smart move in the summer if he decides to go. Right, next up, Chelsea away in the FA Cup. You play the kids, you play the first team, or do you play a mixture?
Yeah, I think we got to go with the...
It's a tough one, isn't it?
I'd go with the similar thing to what he did in the first leg. The first... before, not the replay, you know what I mean? The actual original match, where you play the fringe players. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. Tie, that's the word. Yeah, you play the fringe players that need games, get their fitness up. Then it's not it's not a kids team. It's not a team. It's a mixture of players that need, that are fit, that need the games. Because otherwise, how are you going to get Matty put back up to fitness? Are you going to drop Gomez when him and Van Dijk are playing so well together?
Why do you not play the kids? Do you respect the competition? You want to win as many competitions as you can?
Well,
that's why?
Yes, for that reason, and because these players need games. And you've got to get them games somewhere. Yeah. And I don't want to, you don't want to be changing a winning team in the league as much if you can help it, do you?
Of course. So you're going to see, are you going to see a mixture of very good kids, Williams, Jones, and...
That's how I'd see it. French Lewis, I'd expect Lewis to play as well, because I don't think that Larouci's up to much. Back,
yeah.
So
How did Lewis play in the... And Lewis played in the replay, didn't he?
Yeah, he was all right. He didn't do too bad at all. He just looks so much more... He's just got a lot more thought about his play than Larouci, you know what I mean? He doesn't just mindlessly run up and down. I just worry about that Larouci. He really is. He's just so reminiscent of Moreno. He's just thinking, just calm down, lad. Stop it. Just stop and think. Sometimes just take a deep breath and think about where you need to be, rather than just running.
Well, he's got time. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
he's obviously changed position as well. So, for him, it's all new. But yeah, he needs to just calm down a bit and think about what he's doing a bit more.
Yeah, I think, as I said, he's got time. Fingers crossed it happens for him. Classy touch by Milner to attend the game and give us support. He was in the dressing room at half time, giving them a pep talk and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what you expect of Milner, isn't it? It's that kind of person. He's just
absolutely.
He's a proper pro. He's the ultimate pro. Let's be honest.
I think he'll carve out. I think he'll definitely be a coach. He'll definitely go on to manage.
I hope so, because I think it would be a waste of if he didn't.
Look at all that experience and knowledge. That is.
Punditry. I don't know. I think he'd be a good pundit because he'd actually offer insight.
Yeah, he'd be quite funny. Yeah.
But he'd be funny as well. Yeah, he'd be good. He'd be the first decent one.
I think he's Carragher on steroids. I think he'd be really, really suited to punditry or coaching. either or. He can turn his hand to anything. All right, mate. I think we've kind of done that. Should we go on to Liverpool v Southampton review?
Oh yeah, because we didn't do. We figured out last time we did a preview of it, didn't we?
And it.
Yeah, and
yeah.
it didn't render in time for the game.
After.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hope this one does. All right. It was 4-0 to Liverpool, but that was the most peculiar 4-0 game I've ever seen in my life. How Southampton didn't score 3 or 4 goals is beyond me. I mean, Ings missed some frigging sitters, thankfully.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't really. I don't know if I'd call them sitters. That's the difference. There were good chances, but you'd still fancy Alisson 1-on-1 with anyone. You'd still fancy him to probably save at least one of them, wouldn't you? If he's facing facing a couple of shots, you'd fancy him to save one of them at least.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's in the and 1-on-1. I mean, I always. What do you think when a forward's 1-on-1 with the keeper? What's your assumption? The probabilities with the keeper to save it, or the striker to score, or the player to score? Sorry,
it depends on the players. I mean, if it's someone, I mean, you can look at it in ways, but I'm gonna. There's 2 particular examples I can think of. Peter Schmeichel, right? Now, when he was facing players like Collymore, you'd fancy Peter Schmeichel all day, every day. Because the likes of Collymore bearing down on him 1-on-1, they just hit it straight at him. They panic and they just hit it straight at him. Always did. But when Fowler went in 1-on-1, he's the only player I've ever seen do it. Every time he'd put it through his legs. Every time. Schmeichel does that starfish thing. He just rolls it in along the ground. Right. Everybody else, panics because he's jumping out at him. There's this huge bloke charging out at them, and they panic. Fowler just stay calm and slot it under him. And he did it. I mean, he did it a couple of times in one game. I remember watching. Stam. It was, it really does come down to the side players, and there's very few players like Fowler these days. To be fair,
I think Ings is quite a. I think Ings is more of a Fowler than a Collymore. I'm not saying he is Fowler, but I think he goes to place it rather than just smacks it.
I don't think he's either. I think he's more of he's head down, lots of hard work. Whereas Fowler was a natural finisher. Ings is more of a worker. It comes from being, from making the runs constantly. Whereas Fowler just knew where to be, if you see what I mean. Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about finishing 1-on-1 with the keeper. I just don't think just Ings closes his eyes and smacks it as hard as he can. I think there's some kind of design into
but Collymore was a place. It's just it's a different matter. It's a lot of it comes down to balls when you're 1-on-1. You have to have the composure and the strength of mind to not be put off by the keeper. Depends on who the keeper is, obviously. I mean, some keepers, anyway. Jordan Pickford's coming out at you, where you just put it towards his hands because he'll never reach it. Because if it's more than an inch away from him.
Why don't you just jump on the bandwagon, eh?
Oh, I know. It must be because he's England keeper, because we all hate him because he's England keeper. Not because he's crap, just because he's England keeper. That's what it is. It's not because of all the mistakes he makes. No, nothing to do with that.
I think he'll lose his place soon. I'm not saying that just after the fact. I think, what is it? It's going to be Nick Pope.
I don't understand how Pickford ever was the England keeper. He's never been a good keeper. It's just embarrassing.
No, I don't think that. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Liverpool 4 Southampton 0.
Oh yeah.
We were. I think we were criminally lax the first half, and not taking anything away from Southampton. They were very good, and I honestly, it was.
I think we do the same thing every game now. The first half, we let them run themselves into the ground a bit. And then the second half, we just turned the screw.
I get that, but they should have scored.
But I just think if they'd have scored, we'd have just gone up the other end and scored 2 more.
Not disputing that, but I'm saying Southampton were a better team in the first half. for sure. I should have been going up at the break.
I don't think they were the better team. I really don't see that. I think they were good. They good. They gave as good as they got, but I don't think they were the better team.
I beg to differ. How was Robbo's pass back not deemed a pass back? I don't get that.
I don't get that one either.
Remember that?
That was one of those where you're just thinking, that has to be a pass back, surely. I think the ref just didn't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? He just thought, well, what do I do there?
I'm sorry about my language. He cracked his load there, the referee.
Yeah, you can't give a free kick. I mean, how do you deal with that as a referee? You don't have a line across the pedal, across the. It's just, and it's impossible to maintain, to police it as, something like that. I mean, he did get it wrong, blatantly.
He didn't cover himself in glory in that game either, because he was giving too many fouls to us, and then he decided to give everything to Southampton just to even it out. So
I think he was just one of those where he didn't have a clue what he was just like completely lost himself, didn't he? Lost his mind completely there. He didn't know what he was doing. When he was given this, says he suddenly thought, shit, did I get that wrong? And so he'd give a decision the other way just to even it up. And that's just really bad refereeing.
Yeah. Anyway, they're too good to go down, Southampton, obviously, so they'll stay up. They give a good account of themselves. Salah, players of the match. I thought it was a Jekyll and Hyde performance from Salah, but over the two halves. He scores 2 goals in the second half, and he's only 3 goals off Vardy in the race for the Golden Boot now.
I thought he was really good for Salah.
No, he was excellent second half, I thought. What was funny was, I don't know if you remember this, but on around 23 minutes, Ox could have slipped in him on the right-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
And he would have definitely scored. He would have definitely scored. And as Salah went epileptic, he went crazy. He didn't pass to him. And I was just thinking, that is poetic justice, son. That is a little bit of irony there.
I wasn't thinking that. That wasn't what I was thinking. I can tell you that much.
I bet you were going as crazy as Salah.
Yeah.
I was cracking up. Honestly, that made me laugh so hard.
If it had been up 4-0, then I might have been all right to have a laugh about it.
No, but he's got no right. He's got no right to do it. What? He did it to him against Sheffield United. He could have slipped Salah. Salah could have slipped.
So Ox should know better then.
Don't make it right. That's what you're going to say.
Yeah, Ox should know better. It's a bit like say somebody gives you abuse, you give them abuse, but you should know better because they're giving you abuse.
Rubbish.
You know how it feels, so I give it back.
I'm gonna give it. What planet? What planet you on? Who are you?
I'm just saying.
Give it him back.
I'm just saying.
Something abuses me. I'm going to write it right. I'm going to sit on that and I'll wait. I'm going to serve it until it's appropriate. So fair play to Ox, for taking the shot. All right, it was a detriment to us. We didn't score.
Not fair play to Ox. Do what's right for the team, son.
I'll leave it out, mate. I just thought it was really funny. So he's only 3 goals off Vardy in the race for the Golden Boot, and can you imagine? I mean, we're playing Norwich this weekend, so maybe he could be equal.
Harsh. That's harsh. To be fair to Norwich, there's not many teams that have battered them. Really, they've just not really
lost a lot of games. Yeah. I mean, they're lost a lot of games, but
they're loose, but they're not like getting absolutely ripped apart time and time again.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's a shame because they're not good defensively though. That's what's costing them.
Let's hope we exploit that. But we're going to get onto that in a bit. But yeah, 3 goals behind Vardy. Harry Kane's out of the picture, so Ings is obviously still playing well. So it's all to play for in that Golden Boot with Mane coming back as well. He's fit again, so it's going to be tasty till the end of the season.
Yeah, to be honest, don't really care about Golden Boots. The only thing that matters to me is the team.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. But if Salah gets Golden Boot again this year, that's 3 Golden Boots in 3 years. It'd be
fantastic if he does it. But I'll take it. I'll take none of the players getting a single award so long as the team wins everything.
Oh yeah, I think that's.
And we didn't win
it.
We didn't win the league when he was winning the Golden Boot. So I'll take him not getting the Golden Boot and us winning the league this year, please.
I'll have the league and Salah and Mane sharing the Golden Boot again.
Even better.
Yeah. Bobby, mate, 3 assists. I should have had a penalty.
What's a do you think he should have had a penalty, or do you think? I think
when I initially saw it, I didn't see it as a penalty. But the more I see it, I think that could have been given a lot.
Oh, it could have been given. If it had been given, you couldn't argue that it's not a penalty. Yeah. But when it's not given,
Stonewall. It wasn't Stonewall. It wasn't like we were robbed.
No, it's one of those. If it's given, you can't argue. If it's not given, well, you can feel a little bit hard done. But it's not really a definite 100%. That's definitely a penalty. Same as the Ings one at the other end. To be fair.
Ooh, I forgot about that Ings one. That's a good talking point. I thought that was Stonewall 100%. You don't know?
I thought it was a penalty, but I wouldn't have said 100%. So. And obviously the referees agreed with me because otherwise they'd have given it.
Oh, well, we've already said the referees having a horrible
I know.
game,
I know it was a joke, mate.
No reason to...
Yeah.
That's no advocacy.
I'd never. I was being sarcastic because the referees agreed, because they were crap.
I honestly thought that was 99 times out of 100. That's a penalty. Fabinho touches him, and he goes down. I mean, and he was going absolutely. The
only problem is the referee obviously thought he was going down before the touch.
I don't think so.
I don't either. And I think if he'd have given it, I wouldn't have argued one. I wouldn't have said it's 100% a penalty, but I wouldn't have argued at all if he'd have given it.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I think that's even more of a penalty than the Firmino one. I think. But it's one of those again. I just think if it's not given, you think that the referees obviously thought he's gone down too easily. That's why he's not giving it. That's why he's not giving it. But it's strange because they give every decision in the favour of Wilfred Zaha and Jack Grealish, who dive constantly. Yeah. I mean, did you see that? That was one thing I wanted to talk to you. There was an article in the paper about rotational fouling. And I moan about the way Man City do this. They break up the play and they swap the play. Just Fernandinho just hacks everyone down. Well, he decided to put this. I can't remember who it was. Some writer in one of the papers has put out this piece about how Zaha's being targeted, and he'd watched the game and he said there was, I think it was 8 fouls on Zaha. I mean, 8's hardly a lot, not being funny, on someone who's running with the ball constantly. So I would say that says it all. But it's against Sheffield United. Well, they showed the free kicks, the decisions out here in the build up to one of the games. I can't remember which, but I watched them and I thought 3 of them with the most blatant dives with nobody anywhere near him. Blatant. And I'm not even talking about there wasn't even contact. You know what I mean? They were blatant dives. At least one of them should have been a foul for Sheffield United that he'd said. So there's half of them already out before you get to the 4, that he said were rotational fouling. And then you look at them and you think, well, I'm not even convinced they weren't bad tackles. They weren't really. You know what? I'd argue whether even 3 of them. I'd argue 3 of them weren't fouls. There was only one I thought, yeah, okay, that's a foul. They've definitely just taken it. He's just made sure he's got him there. But all he's done is blocked him off and made sure he couldn't run. That's it. It wasn't like he's hacked him down. But then they did an interview. They showed an interview with Zaha afterwards, and he was talking about, but the referees don't see the scars on my legs and that. And I just thought, you whining little bit. I'm trying to think of. You know what? I just thought, you're embarrassing. You're embarrassing. If you've got scars from that, you're pathetic. You shouldn't be playing contact sport. It is that simple. It's just such a baby.
Do you want 2 minutes on your
Sorry,
new
I'll get off me.
Jack?
He's the worst. Jack Grealish. I can't watch him. I can't watch Aston Villa. I have to turn it over. Every time he gets the ball, Every time he gets the ball, he's just throwing himself to the ground. He takes 35 touches when he only needs 2. And there's always, there's a pass on, but he'll take another touch, and another touch, and another touch, and another touch. And he'll be running along, and he'll just think, oh, God, there's 4 people around me now. So he'll just throw himself to the floor. And the referee gives him a free kick. Nobody's touched him. And it's like he gets the most free kicks. He gets the most fouled, they keep calling him. No, it's the biggest cheat. He dives every single time. I watched what I had to turn over. I couldn't watch it. 20 minutes in, and he'd picked up something like 8 free kicks, and not one of them he'd even been touched. Not one. I just had enough.
Just to see the look on your face, I want Liverpool to sign him.
Oh, God, I'd hate that. That would be the worst signing. It's frustrating because he has got the ability, but he just hasn't got the intelligence.
He
probably left all his brain cells in the gutter where he sleeps when he's pissed.
Ability-wise, is he Man United level? Well, I'm Man United level. What am I talking about?
Say that's a bit like, yeah.
I mean, is he that in that sphere, or is he just mid-table?
If he could learn to play the pass instead of just taking another touch and another touch and another touch and another touch, and you just think, just play it, and you think, and then no, just throws himself to the ground instead. Get a free kick.
Is he a poor man's Maddison?
No, he's nowhere near as good as Maddison. So yeah, I suppose poor man's. Yeah, Maddison can be a bit like that as well, a bit tendency to go down, but he goes down too easy as well. But he mostly plays it early, so he doesn't tend to get so many fouls. That's the problem. It's not that he's getting fouled; it's that he deliberately throws himself to the ground because he's not got a clue what to do. He gets himself into a... He reminds me of Steve McManaman. That's who he reminds me of. He's like a really poor man's... That's what he is, a poor man's Steve McManaman. Runs into blind alleys, gets himself trapped, and got no idea what to do.
All right, mate. Your 2 minutes of slagging Jack Grealish is up, so let's get back to the Liverpool-Southampton game.
I thought he just started.
All right, mate. Bobby Firmino. Bobby Dazzler, he had 3 assists. Oh, we did that bit, yeah. So
I was going to say, I'm getting deja vu here.
Yeah. Hey, they reckon, what's this bollocks about Bayern Munich buying him for 75 million? Surely that's got no legs in it. You can't even get Harry Maguire for that much.
Well, Bayern Munich might like to sign him. They might show interest, but I don't see that that's a totally different thing from they're going to buy him. You know what I mean?
If
Liverpool asked about Usman Dembele in the summer, but that doesn't mean we're signing him. You know what I mean?
75 million, you'd just get his teeth for that much.
Oh, I don't think that'd pay his dental bill, would it?
Yeah. I mean, that's an insult. 75 million for Bobby Firmino. That's
not a chance.
Preposterous. I mean, no chance. I mean, let's say... at the very least, he's a 130, 140 million pound player.
I wouldn't. Do you know what? Unless he wants to go, I wouldn't sell him.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Absolutely no way. He is Liverpool. He is the team. That spine is...
He's just key to the way we go forward. He's key to the way we play, and we just haven't got anybody to replace him, and I don't see anybody out there that can play that role at the moment. We always look worse without him. Well, unless we're playing Barcelona.
Yeah, but
this reminds me of the Henderson Mo Salah births. 9 months after, 9 months and a day after we played Barcelona. What a coincidence!
What, the semi-final, the Barcelona?
Yeah, the 4-0. Yeah, that's why. Did you see James Milner's tweet? Said it's an Origi assist. Quick corner.
Yeah. I tell you what. Hendo didn't have a semi that night, did he?
No.
Boom.
Oh, God. The celebrations went on long and hard.
Yeah. Talking about Hendo, mate, what a player he's becoming. He was instrumental in that second half dominating performance against Southampton.
He's he is a really underrated player. He has been for a long time, and I'm glad people are finally starting to sit up and take notice of him. It's about bloody time.
He deserves every plaudit he gets. He's clearly he's a professional, extremely conscientious, and he just gets the club. He does he's just I mean, we keep saying it. He's just he's the right person to captain this football team and this football club.
Yeah, he's suited to it. He's a proper leader.
I mean, he's annoying in a way that he's always at people. You know, he's always having a go at people, and that incubates, and that kind of they're all at it. Like Van Dijk's having a go at people, Hendo's having a go at people. Everybody's having a go at each other for the sake of for the performance, for the good of the team.
Yeah, but you need that. I mean, you can look at some clubs and none of the players are. So you said, they make a stupid pass and it's just like throw their hands up and that's it. And then then they'll just soak around for 5 minutes. But ours don't. That's the difference. Is they just work harder. They they tell each other off, and they work harder to make it better next time.
Somebody had a good there was a really good post on the site this week. I can't remember who it was. They compared the captains, Stephen Hendry, Steve Gerrard.
Stephen Hendry, freaking hell! It's just like a snooker question now.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it behind the black?
Yeah, pot black.
I don't know. Wasn't that what was that?
As a program.
Yeah,
as a program in the 80s.
That's what I was trying to think of. John Virgo, that was it. That was what I was trying to think of. The Scouser who sent the Evertonian, weren't he? Oh, I couldn't stand Jim Davidson.
No, that wasn't Pot Black. That was what was that? That was the game show where they had
that's what I thought you were talking about, and that's why I was confused when you said Pot Black. What was Pot Black then?
Pot Black was a snooker competition on the BBC.
Oh, right.
And I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Google that now. That's doing my head in. People under 30 haven't got a clue what we're talking about. Probably 35.
We're talking about? I'm only 25.
Stones. Game show. Hang on.
Jim Davidson presented it. I remember that because I hated him.
Big Break.
Oh, right, yes.
Big Break.
Yes, that's it.
Big Break. All right, mate. Where were we? Yeah, we were up to somebody.
I don't know. You were talking about snooker because Stephen Hendry apparently was captain in this.
Yeah. So they were one of the posters on the site, and a really good question. Who's the better captain for Liverpool, Steven Gerrard or Jordan Henderson?
Well, I know Gerrard's good, but I've got to say I think he might be a bit past it to captain us now, though. So I don't think it's much of a comparison.
Yeah, I'll do the banter, mate. What was I going to say? Yeah.
Please don't, because your banter's as bad as your anecdotes.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so what do you think? Who was the better captain? Who is comparably?
I'd have to say Henderson.
I'd say that too, yeah. Why?
Because he's an all-round leader. Gerrard led by example and drove the team on by the way he played. I mean, it was good, but it helped him perform better rather than the rest of the team perform better, him as captain. If we'd have had a better team around him, we might have been able to have a fairer comparison, though. This is the problem, it's very difficult because Henderson's playing with a fantastic team. And he's able to lead them, and he's able to work with better players than Gerrard got to work with. So it is a bit of a difficult one. Would Gerrard have been the same? Would he have had to have done it all himself if he'd have had better players alongside him? I mean, if he'd have had Mane and Salah to feed, he wouldn't have had to make those driving runs and smash them into the top corner, would he?
Interesting.
I'm just the more
thought.
I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking it is a harsh comparison on Gerrard, to be honest, because he didn't get to work with the same quality of players. But you'd have to go with Henderson because he's actually leading the team as a team rather than by playing him, doing things for him, playing his game better, if you see what I mean.
Okay, let's go back to compare to Hendo to the captains of Dalglish's teams. And there's no comparison. I mean, Souness, you're not going to take that off, that accolade off him, and you're not going to do it. You can't. It's just It's just a
different era as well, though. To be honest, it's impossible to compare that, really.
Yeah, but he was the greatest captain in Liverpool's history.
I think Tommy Smith might have argued, as with Emlyn Hughes and people like
Emlyn
that.
Hughes, yeah. But what I'm
but
saying
yeah,
is
no, what about? Yeah, do you know what I don't know, because how long he wasn't really captain for long enough. That is the problem with Souness.
All right, then Hansen, it was Hansen, wasn't it, that was captain?
So I was trying to think of how long was Hansen captain for, because he was.
Yeah.
No, do you know what? Henderson stands comparison with them. I think that's as far as you can go, because you can't really compare them.
Yeah.
It's such a different game.
Yeah, well, you can. Well, what I'm talking about is the point you made about having the quality of colleague alongside them. Souness's team was full of world-class stars, and so is Henderson's
Unlike the
team
he managed.
Of course, yeah. But there is a parallel there. Well, yeah, let's not.
Oh God,
let's not go there, mate. I mean, he signed some absolute duffers.
Oh, jeez.
But so did Dalglish, to be honest.
With Dalglish, it was after Hillsborough, and he was losing you know what I mean. His head wasn't in it, and he lost the input of Bob Paisley. He lost. He didn't have the.
Ronnie's input as well.
Yeah, he also didn't have the Jeff Twentyman, the scout, anymore. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's difficult to know whether that was down to it. He showed at Blackburn he could still pick he could still pick a player. So yeah.
Oh, that was some team at Blackburn, wasn't it? Shearer, Sutton, Wilcox, Batty, Flowers. Lasso.
To me, come on! You've got your first man. You've got to mention is the man that Jack Walker said. Why do we need Zidane when we've got Tim Sherwood? How can you not mention him first?
Oh, but come on, Tim Sherwood was good in that team.
He was
in that
right.
He was in 90s.
But he wasn't Zidane, was he?
No.
I mean, come on. That's like the world's most embarrassing quote, I think, football-wise.
I lived in Blackburn in that championship winning side that year, and it was unheard of. They came out of nowhere and they won the title. It was brilliant. And the last game of the season was at Anfield, remember?
Yeah, I remember it. Because Redknapp scored. Yeah. And nobody knew what to think. I mean, you start off, you're like, yes, we've scored. Oh God, no! It's like, what do you? It was. I
remember in pre-season, I bumped into Chris Sutton in the Abbey National or something. I don't know if you remember that bank. It used to be called Abbey National before now it's called Santander, I think, or something like that. And I remember walking into him, and he was absolutely massive. Like I'm short, probably, but I looked up to him and I went, "You're Chris Sutton." He just signed from Norwich to Blackburn, and you didn't realise he was going to go on such a prolific goal-scoring run and win Blackburn the title. They were a pairing. They were SAS.
Yeah, he didn't do much after that, though, did he? That was
Doesn't
it.
matter.
That
You
was
can't
his
take
one
that away.
season. He is pretty much a one-season wonder in English football.
He was on fire that season. They were both on fire. That was a fantastic, exciting team to watch.
Do you think so? I thought they were a bit. Yeah, I don't know. They did all right. They were all right. Like it was all get it wide and cross it in.
That was Dalglish at Liverpool.
Basic. Yeah, but he had Barnes and Beardsley. It's a big difference. There was a lot more to it. He didn't have the Beardsley. He didn't have the silky skills. He couldn't. You couldn't have Blackburn. To be fair.
Yeah, they had Wilcox and is it Ripley? It was Wilcox and Ripley, wasn't it?
Stuart Ripley.
Yeah, Stuart Ripley.
Blonde lad.
And they had what's his name? God, what was his name? The guy at the back, the Scott Hendry. Was it Colin Hendry?
Oh yeah, horrible man.
Oh, he was. I don't think there was a woman in Blackburn that wasn't seduced by him that year. He was prolific on and off the pitch. That guy.
Horrible man. That really was. He was just. He was right up his own backside. He thought he was the king of the world. Oh.
So he was. They were a great. Honestly, they were a very, very good unit. Dalglish had them playing. They were hard to beat. They had one plan A, and they did that really, really well.
They were a good team, but they weren't the most. They weren't the same free-flowing football as Dalglish had faced off, brought to Liverpool, But it works.
Yeah, but
doesn't matter.
He didn't have the. I think he went to sign Roy Keane as well, didn't he? And Roy Keane said about to sign from him, and then Man United took him. But again, he wasn't that silky player that he was looking for either. So I think he tried getting what's his name, Southampton guy, the guy that scored all those great goals, Letizia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted him to be his Beardsley.
Yeah, because when Dalglish, when he came back refreshed, he won the Premiership. So
yeah, Sutton was meant to be his, was more of a, not really to partner with Shearer. It wasn't meant to be like that. It was meant to be a big and a little, a big man, Shearer or Sutton. Yeah. And then it was meant to be like a Letizia, running, playing the Peter Beardsley role. So,
gotcha.
But he couldn't, just couldn't get it together.
Mate, that's another idea for one of your profiles, Kenny Dalglish.
Oh, great, another one. Because it's not like I've got many of them.
No. You're idle, aren't you? Yeah.
Kenny Dalglish, I couldn't. You know what I mean? I think it'd end up coming out my head was up his backside. You know what I mean?
Well, it is.
So you know what I mean? I couldn't. Yeah,
I think you'd have to give it a go, mate. I think so many people on the site would appreciate that.
Oh,
and obviously, his greatness is going to stand out. That's beyond reproach. But what I'm saying is that, there's going to be younger people on the site that have not experienced his majesty. You know what I mean? So,
well, I'll have to do something on him soon because I'm in the middle of the Bob Paisley. Former managers of Liverpool articles I'm doing. I'm on Bob Paisley now. Yeah. So there's only Joe Fagan, and then it's
Joe Fagan, and then
it's Dalglish. Yeah. So yeah, oof. That's going to be a difficult one to do.
It's going to be difficult. It's going to take time, but it needs to be done because there's people. Even Joe Fagan. No, Roy Evans came after, didn't he? So
yeah,
but you're going to have to.
After Souness,
Joe Fagan. After Souness, yeah. Joe Fagan's going to be a very good one to do as well. I know his tenure was short, but 3 trophies in one season—that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then on the following season, then I've got to deal with, and then obviously there's the Heysel thing with him. So it's going to be a pretty long article, yeah. No, he wasn't. He was gone. He was.
Sorry, Heysel. Yeah. Heysel.
Hillsborough was Dalglish, the next one.
Dalglish's tenure, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, I know, obviously it's going to be.
Because that was when I was locked in at the airport. Was when after Heisel's when they flew back. got locked in at what's now JLA Airport, but then it was Speak Airport. My auntie bought me a flying lesson for my birthday, and like, it wasn't for it wasn't for or Christmas or whatever, and it was like I was up there, there on visiting the family, like. So we went to the airport for the flying lesson because at that time I loved planes. So auntie took me to the for this flying lesson. There's me, all half the family with us. All you had there was one cafe, and we went for a cup of tea like before we went home, and tried to get out, and the doors are locked. They've locked us in, and there's nobody else at the airport at all, just us, just the family. Like that was it. There was not a soul. We couldn't figure out what was going on because there was nobody there. Literally, there was just nobody there to us. So we looked, and the next thing, like, it's like you could see there's like all these crowds lining the streets outside. I was like, what the hell's going on? We're like, what's going on? Like, we didn't have a clue. Yeah. And then, my granddad wandered off and found someone. It turned out they locked us in because they were trying to keep the press out because Liverpool were about to come back from the Heysels. After Heysels, like, so.
I remember that game. It was the build. I mean, I was just so excited, obviously, the build-up and everything. And on the day, it was just the flattest atmosphere. I mean, I realised, as a young kid, I even realised it was such a flat game, such a flat atmosphere. Well, obviously tragic.
I'd been. The intention was I was supposed to be going to that game, which is why I was up. I was supposed to be going to it, but then there'd been the Italians there'd been a lot of word from Italian. The Italians had been spreading word that they were going to look for revenge from us beating them in Rome. Like there was going to be some and like obviously there was a lot of talk because a lot of people got stabbed in Rome the previous year by the Romans.
Right.
So there was a lot of nasty feeling about it. So I was told, no, you're not going after all. Like you know what I mean. So. Quite glad as it turned out.
But, understandable.
Yeah, because there was a lot of, I don't know if people remember, like, there was a lot of nasty feeling around because of the Italians. There was quite they attacked young children and old men and that when they were, stout. And then, what the Roma fans are like. It's always the knives, isn't it? They do have this tendency to stab people.
Reputation, yeah.
No, it's not a reputation. It's the truth. The way of greeting one of the ultra groups in Italy, in the Roman ultra groups is they have they ride those scooters. They have a spear made of a knife tied to a long pole, like a mop handle or something like that, or broom handle. And they go up behind, when there's rival fans, they go up behind them and stab them in the backside.
Oof. Not nice.
That's a greeting. That's what they consider a greeting to the opposition fans. And that was happening, and that's something that's still going on all the time.
Oof. Doesn't bear thinking about, mate. Let's hope... just gets better. I mean, what can you do? Educate them? Can you? What is it? Society? I mean,
you've got to. You can't just put up with it. At least in England, we've made an effort to get the hooligans out of the stadiums, even if it still goes on. But it's happening away from the stadiums now. That's something. It's a start.
And that's to be applauded. To be honest with you, that really is because I've been in. I mean, growing up in the. Going to watch football in the 80s and 90s, it was absolutely. It was disgusting. It really was. I mean, it was more. You really had that hooligan element on your mind when you go to watch football. But now it's not the case at all. I mean, so we've really cleaned up our act, and we need to be commended and applauded for that.
Need to make it a family thing. That's what they need to do more of.
Yeah, and they have. And the thing is, I mean, I'm of a certain age, and when I used to go and watch football when I was younger, the hooligan element was definitely on your mind, especially having brown skin as well. So that was definitely a.
You'll be taking the grandkids soon, no, won't you? At your age.
Great grandkids.
Yeah, wow. I just didn't think the word "great" could ever be associated with you, mate. Sorry.
Let's move on to the Norwich v Liverpool previews. We play them on Saturday, this Saturday afternoon, or well, morning where you are, I suppose. Just want to say,
it's
I
still.
love.
It'll still be evening, yeah.
It's an 11:30 a.m. kickoff, isn't it? Or is it? Or have I got that wrong?
Well, 11:30 a.m.'s not in the morning. It's not going to be in the morning.
Well, 11:30 a.m. is the morning, no? If it's a.m.
It's a 5:30 kickoff, so it'll be 9:30 here.
11:30 here in the States.
Yeah. So it's 9:30 p.m. here. Saturday and Sunday's fine. Don't have to stay up late. It's the midweek games that kick off late.
Oh yeah. So 1 minute. If the 8 o'clock kickoffs, what time are they? What time's that in your part of the world? In the Middle East?
Most of the time, it's midnight. Obviously, when the clocks go forward, it's 11.
Okay. So that's not too bad. You can get your work done and then watch football.
Yeah, finishes at 2. It depends sometimes because you have to. Sometimes you have stuff to put up afterwards as well. Like if something's happened in the game, you'll have a flood of posts. So if there's nobody else about, it can mean I'm up till like 3-4 o'clock. Or if it's an exciting game when you get hyped up watching it, it's very difficult to wind down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like them European games when they go to extra time and Dejan Lovren scores in the last minute.
Oh, the Barcelona game. Can you imagine what time I went to sleep?
Oh, jeez,
I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Norwich Liverpool, mate, on Saturday. I just want to say I love Daniel Farke, and I hope he keeps his job, relegation or no relegation.
I hope the love's reciprocated then for you, mate. It'll be nice to see you settled down.
Mate, they have some terrific players.
I honestly thought you had your eye on Philip Schofield, but it's nice to know you've found somebody more in your within your
age
reach.
Appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
I was punching with Philip, wasn't I? Yeah.
Well above your weight, mate. Well above your weight. I actually didn't realise he was married. I didn't know it wasn't it wasn't well known that he was gay. Because when we was a kid and watching him with that Gordon the Gopher, you always thought he was gay, didn't you? I thought everyone knew it. Yeah, not that it matters, but I just thought it was he's gay. You know what I mean? I didn't really think about it. Mate, I was shocked that he had a wife and kids, rather than the other way round.
Mate, I got to be honest. I don't really think about BBC children's presenters, so I would never. I don't really care, to be honest. You know what I mean, I just don't think he's that good a presenter. I don't care about his personal life. I just don't care. He's that. Now, Holly Willoughby. Now that's a presenter.
I don't know who that is. I'm not live. You got to remember, I don't really watch. I don't really watch.
Right.
So I remember Philip Schofield from when I was a kid. Other than that, the only really thing I watch is football.
Yeah,
really.
The BBC room cupboard.
Yeah, I don't really watch TV as such. I watch certain shows, but you watch them you watch them as a show. You don't watch them as on a channel, if you see what I mean.
I met Andy Peters and Philip Schofield when they first got their job at the BBC in the cinema. They were thoroughly nice people. Everybody was they were very nice to us. There's a group of us they were very nice to. That's my Philip Schofield claim to fame. But Andy Peters, Andy Peters.
He was the boss, wasn't he, though? Wasn't he like the boss, like?
What do you mean, the boss?
He's the head of children's TV. That's how he got the job, wasn't it? Something like that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he was good.
You know far too much about this. How did you know that Andy
you
Peters
forget
was the
who?
boss?
You forget how I'll explain it to you afterwards, mate.
All right, mate. Yeah. Okay, mate. Andy Peters. Oh, I have to Google that. Anyway, yeah. So, back to football.
Yeah. So, that's enough of kids' TV and Gordon the Gopher. We haven't even mentioned him.
Exactly, yeah.
How can you talk about
Yeah, they've got some decent players. Pookie, Cantwell, Aarons, Gwenda, and my special favourite is Jamal Lewis. I think he's a terrific little player, that fella.
Jamal Lewis, isn't he the left back that can't get in the team because Sam
Yeah.
Byram's keeping him
I
out?
like him.
That really doesn't
Sam Byram,
suggest he's that good.
That Byron, that's the one I'm talking about. The left back, not Jamal Lewis.
Well,
Sam
he's actually
Byram,
a right back who's constantly injured, and it's the fittest problem. It's just like the shock is that he's managed to stay fit this long because he couldn't for Leeds or West Ham, could he? He never stayed fit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's not a bad player actually, but he's not a left back.
I honestly think that they'll escape. I know you think my head's in the clouds, but I think they'll escape.
I'd like them to, because I can see there's a few others there I'd prefer to go down, like Bournemouth and Watford.
You just don't like it. You just don't like their manager. That's your issue.
I've got nothing. I don't mind Eddie Howe at all. I think he's quite a nice guy. The problem is, I don't like the way the media fawn over him and reckon he's like the greatest thing since sliced toast, and he isn't. Or sliced bread, even. But then the only thing good about sliced bread is you can make toast with it. So. And
sandwiches.
Sandwiches, Dad. I'm not that keen on sandwiches myself. The only thing that's good in a sarnie is chips.
You don't like sandwiches?
I think we've cold food. I'm not mad keen on cold food.
And
other than
this
fruit.
Is why the drugs.
This
is why the drugs don't work, kids.
Or sweets. I like sweets.
Anyway, let's move on because you're weird. I mean, who's your picks to go down? Norwich, Bournemouth, and Watford.
Norwich. Do you know what? I tell you who's in trouble as well. I think Palace are in real trouble.
Oh, I'd love Hodgson to take Palace down. That'd be hilarious. Benteke scored. Benteke actually scored.
Yeah, I know.
Can you believe that? 1 goal in 34 games.
But did you see it?
No, I didn't. Was it bad?
Oh, God. Well, you know who it was against, don't you?
I can't remember. Bournemouth.
Well, it wasn't a good goal. You know, hang on, I'm gonna see if I'll send you a clip of it if I can find it. So,
you know he's on $100,000 a week.
Is he still?
And they renewed his contract. They renewed his contract.
I just can't say anything without swearing on that one.
Incredible. I think obviously we'll be at full strength against Norwich because we need to be, right?
But you know it was anyway. Sorry, get back to what I'm trying to find a clip of it. But it was against Jordan Pickford, right? Everton.
Oh, Everton, yeah.
But don't you remember what he was claiming? He's got his studs caught because he missed it and let it go under his hand.
No, send me a picture. Send me.
I'm trying to find.
Video.
I'll find you one afterwards because you've got to see it. It's
right,
awful goalkeeping. But of course, he's only getting stick because he's England keeper. It's not because he's crap.
You keep talking, and I'll find the goal.
Yeah, you'll when you see it, you'll just think, "Oh God!" And even after that, he had another couple of chances, and he shanked them wide and just scuffed them into the ground and that. And you're thinking, "Oh, this is embarrassing." The only way he could score is because it was Pickford. And he made an absolute hash of it. Terrible goalkeeping it was.
I'm watching it on an Arabic video.
That's all right. Do you want me to translate for you? As long as it said doors are closing now, I can translate that. That's about it. That's the extent of my Arabic.
And you say, no, they're not, and barge all the way into the buffet.
No, it's the metro. The announcement on the metro. Doors are closing. That's it. That's the only thing I've learned.
Right, 1 minute. Here we go.
Oh, you found it Everton. Now, have
you? Yeah.
It really is.
Good build-up play.
It's not the build-up play you're looking for.
Oh my God! It went underneath him.
Oh, it's just...
Did it go underneath him?
Yeah, it just went straight under his hand. But Jordan Pickford says, I know what I am capable of and I know what I am good at. Yeah, but none of that involves football, does it, lad?
Or keeping the ball out of the net.
Exactly. Oh.
Right, okay. Oh my God, that is poor. That is.
This is
poor.
really great. I hope the people listening are enjoying this, because this is quality. This is really quality. Radio. No, podcasting. Not radio. I keep thinking it's radio. I don't know why.
What? Because you've got a face for radio. What's the?
I do.
What's the podcast Oscars? Because we're going to be nowhere near them.
Oh, we'll be top of the tree. We will be.
Anyway, let's get on to Liverpool v Atletico preview on Tuesday, the 18th of February. So, Atletico, 13 points. Oh, no, let's rewind a little bit. Full strength at Norwich, correct? After 2 weeks in the sun?
Yeah, you really want to get them stretching their legs and get out there and play. You can always take them off, can't you, if they're supposed to, but you need them to get some minutes under their belt.
And Xhaka Milner will be back next week as well, so we'll be up to our full complement, bar Nathaniel Klein. And he's imminently fit as well.
What?
So,
God.
We're looking good. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was out for the season. May as well be. He's not going to. If he gets a game, that's just no. I'd be really disgusted if he gets a game, because Nico Williams deserves it ahead of him.
There's no, yeah, exactly. Let's move on to Atletico, mate. Atletico, 13 points behind Barcelona in La Liga in third. They've won 10 games, drawn 9.
Barcelona have been awful as well. Did you see Kike Setien's training session?
The blindfolds?
Yeah, what the hell? What's that on? He thinks it'll make us improve their other senses. You might need to do it a bit longer than just a couple of minutes in a training session, mate, for that to take effect.
Not going to last long. He will be gone by the end of the season.
Well, it's not his fault. Barcelona are a mess, and he's just been brought in to try and rescue. It's a shambles. It's not his fault at all.
No, I'm not saying it is, but he won't be there next season.
He'll be the sacrificial lamb, and that's why people like Xavi didn't want to know. I feel
Xavi's waiting for his mate. Xavi's waiting for his mate to get the job, isn't he? The presidential job, so he can bring him in himself.
Well,
so it'll be clear.
It's not that. He just wants to clear out to happen, and he'll probably wait until Messi goes as well, if he's got any sense.
Yeah, because nobody's winning that power struggle.
Well, exactly. That's what Abadal's already found.
Yeah, I mean, and if they extend Messi's contract, that's going to be another 2 years at least. So they're going to be a mess for a while. They're going to be a mess a while. But anyway, Atletico, a fabled, dangerous Champions League team historically, they revel in defending, soaking up pressure. So maybe we need one of our legendary starts so they don't get into their groove.
Yeah, normally I'd be really, this would be the game I'd really fear, but this season they look a mess. They really do not look like Atletico of old. This Atleti team's just... Simeone seems to have lost his mojo, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they draw 9. If they'd have won half of those, they'd have the table.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been getting away with wins that they should have drawn and stuff in the past. So I think it's just coming back to, all his pigeons are coming home to roost now. All the luck has deserted him, and he's suddenly, he's being shown for what he is, too defensive.
Yeah, no, but they are a mind-numbingly bored team, I have to admit.
I mean, when you've got some of the players they've got, and yet the football's just dire.
Well, you'll be glad to hear this. Apparently, Costa, Felix, and Morata are out injured, so that makes it a little bit easier for us.
To be honest, it really wouldn't matter anyway. The way they're playing, they're just we need to beat these, because they're not in good form at all. and we could put these away in the first leg if we get it right. The worry is you
Yeah.
don't, and then they, the longer it goes without a goal, the more dangerous they become.
I think they're a shadow of the team that played in this competition 2-3 years ago. I think we'll dispatch them quite easily. They've spent 300 million euros on 4 strikers over the last 2.5 years. And those players have played 159 times between them and scored a combined total of 13 goals. That's a frigging repugnant statistic. 13 goals.
That's not good,
That's
is
insane.
it?
Not at all, man. I mean, it's because it's Simeone he's keeping in job. Anybody else? Can you imagine if anybody else has spent 300 million euros on 4 players and on 4 attackers, and then players have only scored 13 goals between them?
Yeah, I can't see him lasting much longer though. They're starting to turn the fans, so I think his time's coming to an end.
Yeah, where'd you see him going?
Italy, probably. They don't mind numbing defensive, boring football, do they? There
you go. Talking about to the contrary, did you see the Inter Milan AC Milan game?
I saw the result. Yeah, I didn't see the game.
I really like what's his face, Conte. I think he's a breath of fresh air. He kind of he doesn't let you rest on your laurels. I love the guy. I hope he wins it. I really do hope he wins the title there.
Don't really care, to be honest myself. It's football. Speaking of mind-numbing defensive football, he tends to pretty much do that as well.
They weren't very mind-numbing in the second half against AC Milan at the weekend,
but they were
mate.
2-0 down. So there's, it's like AC Milan are not being funny, but it's like being 2-0 down against Norwich. You're not exactly coming up against quality.
Oh, who's third place there? Napoli or Lazio? I think the third place team are having a great run.
Isn't it Lazio? I'm pretty sure I saw it, because I'm pretty sure Lazio were right up there last I saw it. Anyway.
Yeah, they're having a great little run, aren't they? Yeah, and they're third, behind 2 points behind the leaders. And Inter Milan play Lazio this Sunday or Saturday this weekend at some stage.
That should be a good one.
Anyway, yeah, it should be, mate. I'll definitely be watching that. Anything else to add, my friend?
Do you know what? I think we've covered everything I can think of.
All right, then. Well, have a good game on Saturday, mate. I hope we turn them over and extend our lead at the top of the Premiership. I would love it if City lost and we went 25 points clear. That would crack me up.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't get over how far. It just feels unreal.
I'm not going to lie. It's a bit anticlimactic now. I just want us to win it and say, right, we've won that. Let's get it over with and just crack on for the Champions League, because.
But the worry is, then you end up doing what Pep's Bayern team always did. They won it by Christmas pretty much, and then the second half of the season they were just in cruise mode, and so they ended up getting knocked out of Europe because they couldn't turn it on when it mattered. That's what bothers me.
I don't think that will happen, mate. I don't think Klopp will allow that. I just think that if we can't be up for a quarter-final or a semi-final of the European Champions League, then we don't deserve to win it.
But it can be difficult if you've been strolling through games before. When you're strolling to wins and then you have to play a game, you have to raise your game for it. It can be really difficult.
Well, I hope you're not advocating for us to lose a few games in the league.
No. What I was thinking more on the lines of is that's why I wouldn't. I'm hoping he doesn't take any notice of going for this Invincibles thing, and makes a point of rotating a few players as a look at some of the fringe players, gets them games just in case, and also because it makes the others think, well, if he play, if I don't play well, I'm not going to have my place back next season. You know what I mean? These players are coming in and having a look and playing for their place. And they've got to then up their game when they do play, because they might lose it. Next season they might be replaced.
But the other fear is that if the people players not playing week in week out, and the kids are playing or whatever,
Yeah,
or fringe
exactly.
players,
Yeah, it's
then when they
swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
exactly. So I mean, that's a lovely problem to have. I mean, we'll only have that problem if we win the Premiership early. So as again, it's a nice problem, but we don't want it to impact on the team negatively in that regard, in the performance level. Because for me now, winning the league and European Champions League is a must. For this team to cement their place in folklore, we have to win both trophies.
I think you just need to win the league. We've already said, they're setting records for the amount of points at this stage of the season. Nobody's done this in any league in Europe, any of the top leagues. Nobody's done it like this. Nobody.
I understand, but
So
I want them to.
They've cemented their place in history.
I'm all about cementing, and I want them to reinforce the dominance and go and win the Champions League. So I want to look back on this in 25 years' time and think, you know what, that team was unbeatable. I mean,
it would be nice. World champions, English champions, European champions, and then go and add, the European again, and we get qualified for the Club World Cup again. Isn't that great? We go back to Qatar.
And you know what? Exactly.
And then no doubt they'll mess us about on the timing of it again, and the FA will make sure we get shafted again, no doubt.
Yeah. But as a little sweetener, we win the FA Cup as well. Four trophies in one season, unprecedented.
Every game for me, it is what matters. The next game, that's what matters. It's just win the next game, and then worry about the rest of it later. That's how it should be.
Not going to lie to you, mate. If we don't win the European Champions League, I'll be hugely disappointed. Because I think we should. I mean, any team in European football we got the beating of. Tell me a team in European football that we won't beat on our day, even on an off day. We can't beat. I mean, City, they're not. They're human, right? They've been made to look stupid many times in the Premier League.
There's no doubt that right now we're the best team in Europe, but that doesn't necessarily transfer into winning a cup competition. Is the problem?
I completely agree. But that's what I'm saying is we're the best team in Europe at the moment, and it will be a disappointment if we don't win it. Yeah, anything can happen. They are sending off at the wrong time, an injury or whatever. I get that in any given time, in any given game. I understand that. But even at 75%, we're good enough to win the European Champions League. There's nobody.
We are head and shoulders right now above the rest, it must be said. And it's so nice to be able to say that.
Exactly. 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, he's transformed it from we went into that Champions League final against Real Madrid, right? Nobody could say we're favourites. We go into a Champions League final this season, we are overwhelming favourites, regardless of who we play. City, Madrid, whoever it is.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with you there. I do think we've proven ourselves this year to be the best. So it would be nice to go and cement it. Yeah, I agree with you, but this
is without a major signing in the summer.
I think that might actually have helped. Because we brought in the quality the seasons before, you know what I mean? They're bringing in somebody who could have just disrupted it. Could have done, like they used to say about Tino Esprit, it destroyed Newcastle. No, I'm not convinced he did. But it can disrupt your game. You know what I mean? Because you've got a new man to integrate, and they're just starting to build a team together. Liverpool used to. This was why Liverpool dominated for such a long period. It's because it wasn't about. They didn't swap 35 players each season. It was a slow replacement of, and you brought them in, and it was. You might not even see them for 2 years. The players that were brought in, they'd be in the reserves for 2 years most of the time. And then they gradually get introduced and stuff like that. And that feels like what we've done again.
There's a slow integration. I get that, like it was in the good old days. But it's a different culture now. It's a different it's a different animal,
Football's
and
changed massively.
absolutely nobody's going to wait 2 years in the reserves, and they want
And the
people want
fans
instant
won't put up with it
gratification.
either, is the problem.
Exactly.
I mean, look
Yeah,
at how they were with Robertson and Fabinho in the first season. God's sake, I got sick of people saying they're done. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Which actually brings something to mind. What would you do with Keita and whatever, Naby in the summer?
I'd keep him. I think he's a tremendous talent. I think that if he has another season of injuries, then get rid. But I would for sure keep him. How about you? You advocate for going the other way?
I can't remember. I'd want to find out what his English is like first. If he hasn't got to the point where his English
probably
isn't
better than yours.
well, yeah, that's not really saying much. I don't have to pass a test, luckily. But I mean, I'd want to know.
Why
I'm
would
actually
you want to
at the
get a
point
player?
where I like him as a player. I think he's a fantastic, talented player. But if he's not going to stay fit, there's no point having him.
That is the only way I would get rid of him, but I'd give him another season because where else are you going to get a player of Naby
A lot
Keita's
depends on
quality?
who else is going as well. It depends on, I mean, Milner looks like he's staying. He's signed another year. I'm assuming his intention is to stay for another season. But Lallana looks like he's going.
Shaq looks like he's going to
Shaq
go.
looks like he'll probably leave in the summer. So, you're going to need to replace them. So the last thing you'd want to do is, that's what I'm looking at. It depends on how, who else is going.
Naby Keita, on his day, injury-free, is a first-team player, right? Not even he's knocking on the door.
Because who's he going to replace? I prefer Ox in the role. Similar role. Basically, they play, don't they? And I prefer Ox as a player.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying, we haven't seen Naby Keita play a succession of games for Liverpool yet. So we don't know whether he's more suited to that role than Ox. At the moment, Ox is because he's staying fit and he's performing.
I remember watching Naby a lot in the gym, in the Bundesliga together, when we knew we were signing him, like. So I watched him a fair bit, and I thought, like, this lad's quality. But I just think that the injuries it's just too many. There's no point. I just don't see the point in keeping him unless we have a number of players leaving. In which case, you keep him for another year because there's no point. You don't want to integrate somebody else. That's silly. But he's definitely not first choice because I think Ox has overtaken him. Ox has stepped up.
What you think as Ox is back to his pre-injury levels? I don't think so.
Well, I don't think he's reached that level. But what I mean is, Ox he's made the place his own, and I think that's the problem. Is Naby's now the second choice, and it's like, is he going to be happy with that? I don't think so.
Naby's not the first choice substitution anymore, and that's going to hit him hard. And that's why I think they'll give him another season. I just don't think they'll get rid in the summer. I just think it will be, would you get your money back? Or number two, would he want to go? I'm not sure. It's a conundrum. It really is. But ability-wise, I think he needs. If he's injury-free and ability-wise, he has to stay. You don't get that kind of player.
No, I agree with you, but I'm just saying the injuries are too often. There's too many injuries. I think it's time that we have to seriously consider his future.
Do you see?
It depends on who else. If Lallana and that's going, then I think you've got to keep him just because otherwise there's too many changes. But then again, you look at Curtis Jones. Could it be? It could be the chance for him to step up.
It's already there, right? I don't think. Well, I mean, what's these? I know everybody is getting linked with the guy, but is there any concrete evidence in Kai Havertz? I mean, I know Ed002 has said there's nothing in it, but you never know.
It's just Klopp likes him, but that doesn't mean he's going to go sign him. if somebody left, it'd be a replace. You know what I mean? If somebody like Keita does go for big money, then yeah, it might be that. Well, he'd then turn to Kai Havertz, but he's not looking to sign him right now. No, well, obviously the window's shut, so he's not. But you know what I mean? It's not a priority position, is it? At the end of the day.
No, I think we've got plenty there, and we've got obviously Minamino's. There's a lot stockpiled in that position, but we do. I mean, are we going to get money back on Keita? I mean, who's going to buy Keita for 40, 50, 57
well, no, that's what I
million
was
now?
saying about it gives if you keep him and he does get injured, it gives Jones a chance. So you know, when I'm thinking of you let Lallana and Shaq go anyway, you've got space there in the squad all of a sudden. Suddenly, there's no need to lose it. You know what I mean? There's no need to get rid of him to make space in the squad for others. You've got if he does get injured, it's the chance for Jones to shine.
Absolutely, yeah. And who do you think that? What positions do you think we'll buy for in the summer?
Well, considering we asked about Dembele and that, I think, but I don't know because I mean, Minamino might be instead of them, might be chosen. So you've got to have some supreme confidence. Go on. I was going to say centre back will be the one I expect us to buy because Lovren's. I mean, I can't see him staying. And even if he does, he can't stay fit. So, and nor can Matip. So you've got basically two defenders, and obviously Gomez has had his injury problems, so it's a bit of a risk. So you do need to look at another centre back.
Yeah, I think obviously, as it's commonly regarded that Lovren will leave, so we'll buy some.
It's expected,
or a centre back. Yeah. Midfield, I mean, I just think it'll be...
Left back's the other one, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be a cover for... Well, Williams is cover Trent. We'll have a backup for Robbo. We'll have a centre-back coming in. And maybe one forward. Like, I remember it was discussed on the site about Havertz, Werner, even.
I can't see it. I think it'll probably be someone like Dembele because Barcelona want rid. And Klopp does like him.
He'd have to be an absolute lunatic to buy Dembele because he's so injury prone. I mean, who'd want to buy it?
I wouldn't touch him anyway. I wouldn't touch him with the barge pole because his attitude is honking. And who's gonna rent him a house?
I think the club are buying one, mate. I think that won't be.
Yeah, he certainly won't be renting off me. That's for sure. Not that I've got a house, but if I did, I certainly wouldn't be renting it to him. Would you,
mate? You've got a Fanta can. I don't think you'll be renting him anything. What was I going to say? That's not the point. I just think his hamstrings have gone twice in 6 months or a year or something. I mean, and he relies on his speed.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch. I'm not the biggest fan of him anyway. I never was. So
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think
bit of a headless chicken for me.
For me, I think he could, under Klopp's tutelage, I think he could become a decent, stellar player. But if his attributes are being compromised, his attributes are his pace. He relies on his pace to play, and he's compromising that, then I wouldn't go near him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. He's having his training's not the best, which is why he's getting injuries. So you just avoid, definitely. But
what would that be?
If Klopp thinks he can turn him into a player, then who are we to argue at the end of the day?
Well, my superior football knowledge trumps yours, so maybe I would to question Klopp. But what was I going to say to you?
Sorry, can we just go? Can you just run that back past me again?
Would Dembele's, it's a massive if, and it's complete supposition at the moment, but if we were to get Dembele, would that be a loan or would that be a loan to buy? Would that be a sale?
Well, Barcelona won't rid. So it'll be a sale.
They're definitely not going to get 100 million. It's
No,
definitely not off Edwards anyway.
the thing is, like we were discussing it earlier, it's like a lot of his problem is the player he's up against on the right wing, which is his better position, is Messi. So he's not going to play there. So, Barcelona don't need him basically anymore. Things have changed from what they, when they bought him, Messi was going to play central. But yeah.
Well, if he comes to us, the player what's he going to do? Replace Salah?
Well, I know you'd have to think the only reason we'd be bringing him in is because we're expecting one of Salah or Mane to go. Otherwise, I can't see.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah, you need competition for places, but would he move from Barcelona, where he's being paid more money than he'd get with us, to sit on the bench with us as he does there? What's the point?
The only way I'd see it is if it was a loan to buy, with Barcelona subsidising some of his wages, and well, you never know. We might get Coutinho in the deal as well. With Edwards negotiating.
Don't say that. I can't imagine anything worse. I just don't see a space for him in our team. Where would he play? The only possible role he could play would be the Firmino role. It's the only possible role. He's not got enough mobility to play the midfield. To play like the Wijnaldum role or Ox role, that role. He can't defend. He can't put him in as the defensive midfielder, so that's out. So he's not playing in midfield for us, right? He's just not capable of playing it. So he's got to play up front somewhere. He's not going to say, he's not going to play on the wing. He's just not good enough to get even close to replacing Mane, is he? So that's out. So all that's left to him is a fight for the place with Bobby, and I'm not being funny, but we've got Minamino. He's the to train up to cover that. What would we want Coutinho for?
I don't think it'll happen.
He's probably the most overrated player we've had in years anyway.
I don't know. I thought he was pretty good for us when he was.
He was good, but he wasn't great.
Yeah,
he wasn't a £100 million footballer by any stroke, any stroke of imagination, stretch of imagination, even.
£142 million player.
Well, I don't think he was a £42 million player, to be honest.
Oh, come on, he was 42 million worth.
No, he was. Do you know what? And you've seen the difference in the team without him. We're so much better without him. And I told you that at the time.
It's relative.
He held us back.
We didn't know that until he left. We wanted to keep him. It wasn't as if we... it wasn't as if Klopp said, right, okay, I've got a master plan here. I'm going to get rid of Coutinho and we're going to become this world-dominating force. I think that the wish was to keep him.
Well, yeah, but we didn't have the players then. That's what I'm saying. Now, at that point we were at then, is a totally different point. Our team was much worse. And... in comparison, he was a much better player. Now we've got a team that's much better, and there's no place.
Yeah, but that's not by design. That's by luck. We sold him and got.
That's not luck. That's design. Klopp wouldn't have kept him forever. Let's be honest. He was never going to keep him forever. He was always looking for wing. Like a pacey, like the Mane and Salah type players. That was the kind of thing he was looking for, or Pulisic, or something like that. He would, Coutinho was. I think he probably did the right thing for his career as well. When you look at it, as in if he'd have made it work at Barcelona, it would have been the right thing for everyone.
Yeah.
He got out before his game was. He was replaced anyway. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get it. Talking about Pulisic, you're highlighting what you just said. We put in an £11 billion bid for him when he was at Dortmund.
Who? Klopp, yeah, I know that. Yeah, he tried to sign him. Yeah, I know that's what I was saying about about him. That's a fun fact, that is.
But then again, we probably wouldn't have got Salah. So it's all immaterial.
Yeah, exactly. We were much better without them.
Right. All right, mate. I think we've been quite. We've covered quite a few subjects and talking points, and I think all there's left to say is see you next Thursday.
Yeah, is it Thursday? Tuesday?
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.
Well, all right, mate.
I'm confused. Which one are we doing? I've forgotten now.
We're doing Tuesday, but we're gonna do the see you next Thursday one now.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Okay. Gotcha. See you next Thursday.
I'll bring the logic and you bring the looks. How's that? Actually, I'll bring the logic and the looks.
You definitely don't bring you only on radio could you bring the looks.
You just bring your girthy stomach and I'll bring the rest. How's that?
It's relaxed muscle. Thank you very much.
With your stretch waist.
Well, you have to have stretch waist. Of course you do. Otherwise, when you eat, it gets a bit tight, doesn't it?
What's that white thing they put? The elastic, yeah. My mum used to do that.
Masticated waist, yeah. You have to let it down. Well, I remember my granddad when he used to have a good meal and he'd undo the top, he'd undo the flies and that to open up the thing to let the gut fall out. Like,
oh my god!
I remember my mum used to make. Even my Uncle Larry used to take the kids to swimming at the weekends, take all the kids swimming. And my Auntie Beattie and my Nan would be there sat on the side of the pool complaining, obviously, because I saw they, moaning. And they'd be there, and every time there's a woman, one of them would say, Judy, Judy, and they'd like that and hold their guts in. As a woman walked past, oh, bless him.
Oh my god! I remember we were so poor growing up. My mum used to make me elastic pants. It was so embarrassing. I had to go to school with these crappy elastic pants, and everybody else had really good stuff, and I was so embarrassed.
Weren't they handed down? Mine were handed down from my uncle. And the only thing was he was smaller than me. He's 5'4" now, and I'm only short, but the trousers still didn't fit.
I remember my uncle handed me down this Lyland Scott V-neck jumper once, right? They were really nice, the golfing jumpers, they were really in. And I wore it forever, but there was a hole in it, and somebody pointed it out once. And I was making out as it was brand new, and they were like, it's a hand-me-down, it's a hand-me-down. I was like, So you better not be recording this.
Yeah, I'm recording all this. This is going on.
Oh, yeah?
This is going on. Yeah, we got all this on there, mate.
Oh, mate. Oh, that was...
It's a good job you said that, actually. I'd forgotten. Stop it.
Happy days.
Right. We'll call that to finish, say goodbye, so we can start switching off. So, see you next Thursday. Bye-bye, everyone. Right.